Welcome to Jumpshots from the Goal Line. I am your host, Jonathan Dugan. We are joined back as usual by Mr. John Henningsen. Henny, welcome back, my dude. Ben sat in your stead last week and rocked it. We also do have Benny Diamond Hands back in the studio. He's just killing it as always. So not worried about his gambling in the least at all. But boys, we had a full weekend of football this week. What was it, from like Wednesday on, Thursday on, football basically like 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, something like that.
Full slate from Thursday, as far as I can remember. I don't think we got any Wednesday action just yet. I don't think
No
we've been
action
blessed
yet.
with that. No, yeah, we haven't been blessed with that action yet. So let's not. I would love to say we have, but no. Started Thursday with the NFL, and obviously we had a little bit of background noise with college football. But then, for me, you guys got to really do the full enjoy. Like, so when you guys are working, and thank you for stepping up last weekend. I really, I mean, I did miss a lot of college football, but boy, did I plug in this weekend. Boy, I mean, I mean, so good to be back. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. So good to be back.
Yeah, it's a little tough to have your hand in the honey pot when you're at a cousin's wedding, but hopefully that was fun for you, man. I know Ben hit the slate hard though, and again
Yep.
in your stead. So
I got to stop doing 24 picks every weekend. I just go with all the ones I feel great about. Like, I was at the bar on Friday and I was like convincing everybody Troy plus 15.5 was the move. Cause I read an article that told me that it was a great idea. Um, I typically do this like week 1 through 3. It's like 20 games. I need to scale it down to like 12. I usually do better when I only have like 12 and I wait till I feel really good about it instead of just like falling in love with the line at one point and just firing. But
you fell into that trap last week too, dude, with Tom Fernelli, and now you're just kind of
yeah,
falling right back into it, dude. But you got to get your feelers out there. You know what I mean?
it makes me watch teams I wouldn't normally watch. So it's a necessary part of the research, if anything.
Yeah, just like taking your lumps in the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much.
So where are we sitting at now? Like what's your record looking like?
14 to 24 hit. On the season, I am 27 to 47. So tracking for over 50% after a tough week 1. It'll mean a little bit more once I'm at the like 60% area, but um, we're getting there. We're working towards it.
Little by little, right? And then Henny, I'm
Yeah.
sure you probably hit the apps a little hard this weekend, right? Did you get on some
Yeah, for sure.
action?
It was nice to be back. I mean, that was a big part. I mean, that was part of Saturday. Which the nice thing with Saturday is like we did have a little bit of like we had a little bit of information, right? I think week 2 is so much easier than week 1. Like, even just having some frame of reference of what these teams look like, even from a highlight reel, like helps inform me at least that much more. Like, I didn't want to touch the NFL today. Like, I looked at it, I woke up, I did well on Saturday. I feel like I had a really good idea what I was going to do Saturday, did well enough, and then like looked at it this morning and was like, I don't know, all these teams are stupid. Like, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to choose. Like, there's a couple games that I think you could have gotten away with, and made no money and just bet a money line on, like, your Ravens were going to win today. CJ Stroud starting his first game in a Houston, and he's going to be wearing a Houston Texans uniform, by the way. Probably not going to win, but there's no money to be made in that. So I just put the guns right back in the holsters.
Just enjoyed it at the end of the
Yep,
day, right?
yep. Just watch football. Yeah, enjoyed it. That's a pretty loose term. We'll get there, but
I get you. Well, let's jump into it. We'll just go over a little bit of college football week 2 right off the bat. Ben, what were some of your biggest winners this week? Like, what are some of the units that you hit that you're just like, hell yeah, dude, I got that
Yeah.
one right?
The funny thing is, like, I probably should have waited to clear out, like, I guess I could pull it up in the chat. I didn't do any multi-unit plays this week, so in theory, all my winners were the exact same in terms of payout for the most part, unless they were like a little bit off. My big sad moment was realistically Wisconsin. The under hit, but Wisconsin did not cover. And when you're betting 2 things on the same game, you're likely to lose one of them. and the same thing kind of happened in a couple other ones. I love the fact that you guys were texting about USC was going to hit the 70 easier than anything. And guess what? Under 70.5 cash.
Hey, guess what? I bet that under too. And the only way to jinx that thing is by saying this thing is going to hit 70 so damn fast. If I don't do something
Yeah.
out in the world to testify to the guy, yeah. So I know that was me 100% Hail Mary to save my last bet of the day.
I wish I knew about the witchcraft at the time. I was a little distracted. I'm like, man, he's just gonna. Why is he doing that? I thought we were foxholed, but
I am. I'll show you the receipt if you want. Yeah. No, I was literally trying to I was like, I got to snuff this thing out. It's really
yeah.
becoming a problem. USC is getting ridiculous. But we're good.
That one was scary. Iowa, they almost blew it because their defense had a pick six. So their offense scored 13 points.
Okay.
But it counts as 20 because they didn't actually specify in the contract. So
Correct.
Their offense is still trash. He is now 6 points behind pace through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I anticipate that this will continue. Iowa unders are scary. It's not for the faint of heart because it's the lowest score of all time. It was the lowest under for the week, and I think it got to 20 to 13. So it was like 33 points scored on a over under of 36. Like we were a field goal away from that thing kind of really starting to open up. So that was terrifying. I don't know if you guys watched the Tulane game. I know that they didn't cover, but they would have. And I just want to count that as a win. I'm not officially on the spreadsheet, but if you didn't watch it, basically it was 20 to 27. It's 4th and 1, and they're going to go for it. Ole Miss is basically to get the first down to be able to kneel it out. Some bastard false starts. So now it's 4th and 6. So they don't feel comfortable doing it anymore. So they make it a 2-score game. They kick the field goal. Now I'm like, okay, I can still cover. I just need them to go down and do something. And then there's it should have been a flag. It was probably the most aggressive hit on a quarterback. It's disgusting. They just don't care about player safety. He got crushed, and just the ball went flying basically to the end zone, and there was no chance it wasn't a fumble because the guy literally destroyed him half a millisecond before the ball came out. So they would have covered. A false start meant that instead of plus 7.5 covering, I lost by 17. And that was the heartbreaker of the weekend. If you don't have that as a bad bet, I don't know what is. I also really, I don't know. I have one gripe, and I don't really expect this to happen all the time, but I had to wait until I woke up on Saturday to learn what the spread was for the Penn State game. They didn't release it on any sports book until Saturday morning. And I was hoping for maybe an over under 58 and I don't know, I was maybe a 42 point spread. And they dropped it at 41. I'm like, oh God, I don't know. And I just panicked and I didn't bet it. So I'm honestly a big loser this week because I never realized what happens when the team you want to bet on doesn't have a line available. And I've reached degenerate status. So I don't know. I had a couple really close calls, but those half points are amazing. And I was wrong on Texas. I'll say that. But I think if you go ahead, yeah.
The streets are saying that you're not a real Penn State fan because you didn't bet it.
It makes me feel like a fraud myself. But no, legit. I don't know. They didn't release Ohio State until Thursday, and Ohio State was playing an FCS team. I couldn't wrap my head around why no sportsbook would release a line until Saturday. It makes no sense. Why would you not throw a line out there and let people go crazy? It was the only team without a line. But I am proud that I stuck to my guns and I bet Alabama -7 because If I didn't take Alabama -7 and Texas continued to not be back, I would have hated myself. I, I had until they proved me wrong. They were never going to get my money on that game the other direction. So Texas is back,
They're back.
and
Yeah.
they might actually be back now. And I'm glad I had the mental fortitude to not just be a sheep. I was like, I'm not going to take Texas +7. I'm going to take Alabama -7 because you got to prove it before you start getting respect from me. And they have it now, and I'm a little bit poorer because of it.
So we're just chalking it up to a personal win, not a monetary win.
I really had a couple personal wins this week with Tulane and Alabama. Like I don't know. I just I'm getting there, you know. I deserve better than those teams gave me this week.
You certainly do, bro. You're a good
Yeah.
man. Okay, like you're a great sports gambler. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay, you're a strong, independent man. Okay.
You
By
know
the
it.
way, so we are counting the pick six towards Ferent's like tracker because
Oh yeah.
it's gonna be
Yep.
right
Yeah.
up there. I think I'm pointing it the right direction now. This whole mirror thing is just throwing me off, but I have to add it, and so
Yeah.
we're gonna go 20 points to
It
deduction, right?
it is very specific that it is total points scored in the game, and it's like they purposely left out offensive points because they know
Of
how hard
course.
that's going to be for Brian Ferentz to come up with plays that are creative that move the ball in any sort of exciting manner. So,
They got to
They
have
have a
Big
they
Daddy
have a
Kirk
good
help.
agent. They already have Ferentz on a lifetime contract. I mean, it's not.
yeah,
There's no way they were going to get away with being like offensive points scored. They're like, oh, buddy, we're not even taking that meeting.
Yeah,
We're
no,
not even
yeah,
taking that meeting, Iowa.
the kids with cancer will be forever waving it at the Ferentz family. Okay, like that's not changing. But they got
I'd
to
love
have
that
Big
kid.
Daddy. They got to have Big Daddy Kirk like helping out his little son. So it is what it
I can't,
is.
I can't believe how bad they are still, even with a better quarterback. Like I anticipated they would improve a little bit, and they have not. They are identical to last year's team that will have a over under of 30 points every single game. So just know that you need to bet the under. And when you do bet the under, you're going to hate yourself, but you're probably going to win money because that team is bad on offense. Bad on offense.
I was gonna say
And
the quarterback had a good stat line. Like he didn't show poorly. You know what I mean? But I didn't watch the game either because
but it's because they check. Yeah, they just check down. They don't really throw the ball, Dugan. It's not.
No.
These are laterals forward. You know what I mean? There's never been a forward pass in Iowa, and I mean, just as a lifetime bettor, you always bet the under in El Assico. And it's so fun to say El Assico, and it's fun to watch El Assico. And it is like genuinely the most fun I have betting the under at Iowa. I could bet the under at Iowa every week for the rest of my life.
I probably
But
won a
versus
lot.
Iowa State, it's an absolute lock. Because
Yeah.
Iowa State will only pretend to put up a fight against Iowa the entire time. They'll hang around. They'll be like, oh man, look at us. We're going to cross the 50. No, you're never going to do it. They won't do it. They won't do it.
Listen, Henny, we got to watch the Big 12 slander, okay? Because we have an agenda on this podcast that the Big 12 is just moving the field goal post closer and closer. Really, I keep pointing
I
away, but
know.
they're
But
coming closer.
I don't know. But they're kissing cousins with Iowa. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and they might literally. So, I mean, no, well, we'll see.
To use both of your words, they're still both peeing with their pants at their ankles. So.
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
So did you feel like the last throw in the Utah Baylor game should have been pass interference?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, big time.
See, I didn't because I was on Utah -6.5. So I just want to be very clear that that was a clean play. There is no question that was 100% perfect defense, and it's really unfortunate that we slander refs in today's society. Let them play, let them earn it, and they really did. Utah earned that 6.5.
I was coming after those refs in that Illinois game though, because that was a game where they were I mean, you talked about safety. That was the safest game I've ever seen played. I mean, the way they were protecting those Illinois guys. I mean, they must have felt so safe out there. I was like, this game is completely slipping out of my hands. It's so fun to be on all sides of it. That's the thing. We're never we're just on all. I mean, that's the way you got to do this, man. You just take this instance by instance. This is about moments.
That was a bad pick on my part. I'll own that too. It
I know
was
I'm tailing you 90% of the time, but like there are certain areas, certain streets I know not to go down. I know these neighborhoods. I know I've been on these Pac-12 streets, and I know I got it in my bones sometimes with some of those picks.
so that is a classic example of I didn't watch the week 1 game, but I had done a bunch of research and people were higher on Illinois just within the conference than anything else. So I'm like, well, I didn't watch week 1 for them. They must be just as good as advertised from all
Yeah.
the preseason lovey-dovey articles that are written about them. So then I fire on it. I'm like, oh, holy shit, that was a bad pick. I was just glad it was Friday and it didn't feel like I lost that one because
Yeah.
it was in the past. But yeah, that was bad.
But just think, Bielema could be the Iowa coach someday. So look forward to that, Iowa. I mean, it's all is not lost, if Ferentz leaves. So
I can't
you got
imagine a
Bielema in the
better
pipeline.
fit. Can't imagine a better fit for the state of Iowa than
I
Brett
know
Bielema.
I know. Just do
It's
it.
written in the
Like,
stars, dude.
Are we going to talk about Dion again? Does he deserve it? I hate him.
we hate him.
I hate him because he has a quarterback who was a top 70 recruit and the number 1 overall recruit in the country, spearheading his offense, and everybody's acting like he did something nobody could have done. And that's what my problem is.
I will
If you
say,
have the best players,
He's won
you
2
win
games.
games. That's what everybody's crowning him already.
Yeah, I mean that part's a little, of course, but I mean dude, he's talking a lot. Look, this is gonna go both ways for him.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I mean, like we're gonna get the reverse of this. So, like 1 week, you're gonna kind of come on here and absolutely take a dump on him if you want, because it's gonna happen. Like it's not that good of a team. Like I'm watching them, and my like as you mentioned, the quarterback obviously is solid, and then you have a weapon at wide receiver, a couple other skill guys, but I mean, and they're doing a good job coaching them up. Like they're doing a good job managing the game, but this is gonna like boomerang, and it's gonna hit them in the face at some point here.
The line that I thought was a trap, Ninja mind fucked me into taking it, and I was like, there's no logical reason Nebraska's +3, +3.5, whatever people might have got it at, unless it's a trick and they want me to take Colorado. And actually, they wanted me to take Nebraska. They made it so obvious that they flip-flopped it, where they wanted me to be so convinced it was a trap line that I went the other way and I took the trap itself. They're getting good. They're getting really good. But until Dion has more wins than toes, I can't really expect him to be a legitimate contender in
Everything your brain went through is exactly what my brain was going through watching them rush the field, though. I'm like, wait, so Nebraska is so respected in the game that when they get taken down, I'm just like, Colorado shouldn't be allowed to have sports. Honestly, like they shouldn't even be allowed to have sports. You cannot rush the field just because you're 2-0 and beat Nebraska. I mean, for all the things that everybody's saying on ESPN, like Dion makes a good headline. He makes a good headline no matter which direction you want to take it. If you're a Colorado fan, you cannot be rushing the field beating Nebraska. This is
act
not
like
Tommy
you've been
Frazier.
there, Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, which they haven't been, but
Nebraska is easily one of the worst teams I've watched in the first 2 weeks. Like Jeff Sims is awful. Like you couldn't have been more wrong about that one, Ben. You were giving him his flowers a little bit. He's ass.
I'd like to see Caleb Williams lead that team to a win. It's an impossible situation for a talented young man to succeed in, and I won't tolerate the slander. I won't admit that I was wrong. he was good in one game against Clemson, and he'll be good in more games. Once Matt Rule gets better talent around him, he's going to be Caleb Williams. He's going to be all the talk of the town. You can't tell me otherwise. He's very gifted. He's very gifted.
I know Henny was excited to see Chuba Purdy up there, though. Those Phoenix.
Yeah,
Suns.
well, it was nice to get him out there, so that was nice. Yeah, it was nice to get to a local kid for sure. So we
What
were
a
excited
QB
about
name.
that. I know it's a
Chuba
great name.
Purdy.
That's a great name. And Ben, sorry, man. I mean, you knew the deal though coming onto this podcast.
I know.
Dugan has been slandering Josh Neighbors for being kind enough to give his time for 2 years now. So, it's not like he hangs on to these things. It's not like he has a creepy little notebook or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have just drawers of information and bad takes.
No,
I
dude,
thought
never.
this
I've
was
never
a
given
safe
a bad
space.
take in my life.
Yeah, never. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, I wish I had thought about what I was going to name my kid as it relates to if it was a good quarterback name back in the day, because my oldest does not have a QB name, but my second son, I think, does have a QB name, and I can't kind of forgive myself for not giving him the opportunity to be a talented quarterback with a great name. I blew it on my first son. I don't know what I just wasn't thinking about it. Like, you don't become a college quarterback unless you have a weird name. And Chuba Purdy, like, unbelievable. Like, he was destined. Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, like, the list goes on and on. Like, General Booty, all of the best names become quarterbacks or they're nothing. And I wish I gave him the option.
I will say this, that both of your kids have, without saying their names, they have cool names. Your first son, I could totally see him being a quarterback, And then the
It's
second
not a
one,
quarterback name.
but the second one is named after the best quarterback in the NFL. So,
Jackson Mahomes.
I was like, yeah. I was like, no one had Lamar Crownover in the pool.
Yeah, weird, dude. That's strange, man. Stupid. Sorry.
I think you did a fine job, bro. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
But, Henny and I were texting each other during the Colorado game, and him and I both came to the consensus that Colorado truly is just 3 players. It's literally just Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and that running back's pretty good. Outside of that, like, the one wide receiver had a good game, but, like, the rest of the team, they have no pass rush. They have no like, their offensive line sucks. Like, when they play Colorado and Oregon, or not Colorado, when they play SC in Oregon this year, that's going to be the true test. That's when you're going to come on this show and get to gloat a little bit.
How many toes does Dion have? Like, didn't he lose like 4 this summer?
The moment you made that comment, I was doing the math in my head. I was like, okay, how many like turf toes did Dion lose? But I also felt guilty the whole time I was thinking about it.
Well, you didn't Google it? Like, I need to know how many toes
Dion's
he had.
a freak too. He might have started with 12, bro. Guy's fast. You know what I mean?
How many toes does Dion?
But Henny, does having an extra toe make you faster?
Pretty sure. It's got to.
Is it like a Flintstone situation where like the other ones are doing just extra work?
It's got.
He's got 8 toes currently. So
he lost 2.
That's actually a pretty good standard. Like,
or my theory at 12.
If we were to give him credit for getting more wins than toes, that's a phenomenal season. So until he does that, I'm the jury's still out for me on if he's actually going to be successful. You got to have more wins than toes.
He's gonna win games though, Ben. Like, why don't you? I mean, like, he's already won. Like, he's already better than he's past Nebraska already. Like, he's been there 8 minutes. I mean, he's not. Is he gonna win a national championship or any of these things? I don't know, but like, he's bringing an eye to that program. Look, they're freaking all the major college shows are going there next week. It's ridiculous. Maybe like I'll hear that argument for sure. Like, is that a little early? Is it a little crazy? But he's bringing attention. He's going to have kids wanting to go and play there, and he's going to freaking win games. Like, he's going to win games. How long he does it, how long it lasts, I don't know, but he's going to win games.
Now, will he win 9 games?
exactly. No,
Not
I
this
think
year.
part of my problem with it, and
Eventually.
Josh Pate actually kind of mentioned this too. Like, the only real problem with it is that people are acting like this is the best team in the country because a lot of people don't watch as much college football
Yeah, because they're
as
not us, baby. That's why. Yeah.
yeah. So
They're
like
idiots.
my
Yeah.
problem is Penn State stayed number 7 in the AP poll. Teams just keep jumping them. And it's like there's no reason why they can't move up, but it's because like hype around other teams. Everything is over analyzed this early in the year, and it's like it's really happening with Colorado. Like they are not going to be as good as people act like they are right now, and that's my main gripe. So
Well,
I don't know.
you're lucky because Dabo did you a favor this weekend. So
Oh,
let's
oh,
unpack that one real quick because I know all three of us were just salivating at that game.
I wish, I wish they didn't have the second half. I just wish it ended there. Um, I he is going to retire at the end of the year. He's going to retire at the end of the year.
You think
He
so?
hates he hates what college football is now. He won't adapt to the transfer portal. He won't adapt to NIL, and because of that, Clemson is not what they used to be, and he doesn't want to change. That's why they're as bad as they are. Money on it now. He retires at the end of this year.
Man, those checks are too good. I doubt it. Maybe, but I would say I doubt it. But but that game was fun. I mean, like Southern Charleston, is it Southern Charleston? Was it Southern Charleston?
It's
What was the name of
Charleston
the
Southern, something like that. Like
So whoever they
it was.
were, like they couldn't even get a first down. They had like 60 yards and we're like just right in that game. Like Clemson was out gaining them like 500 yards to 63. And somehow they were just kind of hanging around. So shout out to Clemson for just making it weird. Just daubing it up out there. That was some
Dogging it
weird.
down.
That was a weird. Yeah, I know. I could have. I really. I still haven't found a really clever way to make fun of Dabo. Like, can you get drunk on Dabo Wabo? Like, what's the play here? I'm not really sure what the joke is, without just like going full court press on the fact that he's kind of like a sociopathic Christian overlord type.
Yeah, I mean he totally is. He's perfectly okay with Chick-fil-A not being open on Sundays. I can tell you that much for sure.
Oh
I just
yeah, dude.
that's the one thing he is okay with.
Yeah, for sure,
You know
100%.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Did you guys see that this is the first weekend, or yeah, first week 2 in 20 years that Bama and Clemson are both 1-1?
I
This
mean,
I'll just say the first time in forever, like Alabama lost, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not that surprised.
They haven't been that good for what, two
Yeah,
and a
and
half
that's
years now?
yeah, and this isn't because I was actually I rode with Ben on this. I bet Alabama, but then like as I was watching it, I was like, well, there's been like little chinks in the armor the last couple of years, so like I wasn't shocked. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or I wasn't like dancing on Alabama's grave. I was kind of like, yeah, they lose now. Like not a lot, still don't lose a lot, but they lose now. So it's definitely changed from what the dynamic was, 5 years ago.
Their defense is
They
not good. I'll say that much.
It was weird because if you watch the first quarter, I swear Alabama was hitting so much harder than Texas. And it was like as soon as that
Yes.
fumble happened, I was like, is Texas gonna start doing something? And it was like I was watching that, I'm like, dude, this is going to be nasty. Bama's got that grit. And then specifically on offense, because to your point, defense is different. Their running backs were like slamming into dudes. It just seemed like they wanted it so much more. And as soon as they fumbled, it was done. Like they had a chance to just like assert what they've always been, and like they don't have it mentally. It was weird. Like I think a big part of this has really been that Alabama used to be the only team that the best players went to, and now we see 5 stars are spread out much more evenly, and so when you're looking at Georgia, you're looking at all the Texas, like all these other places, they're getting more of those 5 stars that used to exclusively go to Alabama. they are still incredible, but they do have chinks in the armor. And like, it's weird because to your point is, it wasn't the weirdest thing in the world that Alabama lost. It was like, that was crazy if Alabama lost 5 years ago. And I don't know what it is other than maybe just a little diversification of where the 5 stars are going, but there's something a little bit off from how they used to operate for the last 10 years. It's wild.
Totally agree. I don't know what it is either. Like, I mean, because the only other thing I can really point to is just, offensive coordinator luck or hiring the right guy. I mean, like that sort of thing. But I mean, the reality is Texas's defense at the end of the day looked better than Bama's defense. And that's all Saban. And I know like that's like driving him nuts. But they're making field goals now, which is something they didn't used to do. So they might just need to just kill their kicker.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
would.
I don't know. Just brainstorming. I don't know. They used to miss field goals and be dominant at everything else. It's kind of like the opposite of what U of A football is. We just be kicking them field goals, baby. But, the rest of it's just tough, man. It's just really hard out there.
Quinn Ewers looked good, though, to Ben's point. I don't think he should ever grow a mullet back again.
See, I'm in the opposite camp. I would say physically, he looks ill. Like, why get rid of the mullet? Like, I thought he looked happy and healthy with the mullet, and he looked kind of terrifying without it. So his play was better without it, but I don't know. Like, it's weird to me that he would be the opposite of Samson. So you cut his hair and he's better now. I don't know.
Yeah, had he kept the mullet, he's splitting screen time with Dion right now.
100%.
Like no doubt in my mind. Like they're absolutely neck and neck. But without it, he's just a guy. But he did look good.
Just a dude with a good name for a quarterback.
Yep.
Strong.
Absolutely. Were there any other big matchups that you wanted to talk about, Ben? Like any that surprised you?
Wisconsin, Washington State was one of those ones that I just wanted to believe Big Ten hype. I wanted to believe in Tanner Mordecai. I'm off of the Wisconsin train. It's done. Their year's over. Pack it up. Like, there's no point in ever believing in them anymore. Maryland almost covered despite being down like 17-3 at half. I still hate Talia Tagovailoa, but I shouldn't bet on him, and I did. It's funny. So the picture you guys put out for the the picks, I was embarrassed to admit that because I was betting on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Some people might have caught it, but I was on both sides of the Texas Tech Oregon game. And the funny thing was, all three of my bets would have hit because I had Oregon -6, Oregon -6.5, and I had Texas Tech +7. So I would have got the push. But I ended up cashing it out, losing like the dollar or so and then reinvesting it elsewhere. But I never in my life believed I would have been on both sides of a bet and not lost. So that's worth mentioning at least. But no, I didn't. I feel like I had so much more like fiery hot takes, things that I believed in, and I feel like my belief system has been shaken by just losing a couple of these lines. Like I have reassessed where I value Wisconsin. I've reassessed where I value pretty much everything else. Ohio State could barely score on Youngstown State, and that is going to be really interesting. So when we did the Big Ten preview, I completely disregarded Notre Dame as a tough game on Ohio State's schedule. And now that might be, I think, Ohio State's third loss. There's something wrong in Columbus, and they did get Marvin Harrison on the stat sheet this week, but to only drop 35 on Youngstown State Penguins, there's something off there. Michigan has not looked as dominant running the ball with Blake Corum kind of coming back from the injury. I think he had 80 yards on like 20 carries. Like, Michigan hasn't been like as good as they have been by only averaging 4 yards a carry. And then Donovan Edwards has been nowhere the first 2 weeks. So like there is some interesting stuff brewing with the big dogs. or at least the perennial big dogs in the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 continues to dominate. That was a tricky line, by the way. The it wasn't Tulane. It was, who did I have? Was it Toledo plus 35? Whoever Washington played, it was Tulsa. Sorry, it was one of the T schools. I like betting on them usually, but so I got the line at plus 35, and I think the final line settled at 32 and a half, and Washington only won by 32. Vegas is so good at what they do.
I know.
It's crazy. Like
Sickening.
It's witchcraft.
Sickening.
To throw a line out like 32 and a half and then have that, like, I would never say a team's going to win by 32 points, and they do it every time. So bet the T schools, except for Tulane, because Ole Miss had a false start. Bullshit. That's all I got on last week's games.
So really quick though, because I know Henny's thinking it too. Pac-12 is definitely better than the Big Ten this year so far, right?
I mean, Mickey Mouse, I guess. Like, can they be better if they're dead next year? I don't know, man.
They're giving it one last go, baby. Going away
like,
to
hilarious, man.
It's the toxic love bombing at the end of a relationship. They're like, we could have been great. This is what you're missing out on.
The Wazoo game, though, that reason the Wazoo game made a lot of sense to me was it was the absolute, like, give us our respect game. It was the nobody wants us, we're the misfits. Like, send us, send us Wisconsin. Like, Wisconsin's ripe right now, and we're gonna thump them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I mean, right? It was still a tough game for them. Like, Wisconsin hung around, got back in that game. Certainly made me a little nervous. But the reason I thought, and then exactly what was going on, Wazoo. As soon as they're done, the coach is there, and he's like crying. Everybody's crying. You can't beat a bunch of dudes that are crying together, dude. I mean, those guys are borderline, like insane right there and at that moment. So, Wazoo might end up falling back to earth, and Wisconsin might rebound. Like, that might end up just being one of those weird ones. So that's like one that's like hard to register, because the emotional thing was going on there as everybody was saying, like, yeah, you know what? Good luck, Wazoo. Just good luck. They're like, we're Power 5 schools, damn it. We're Power 5. We're Power 5, which is a really weird thing to say as you cry.
I will say it was a carbon copy of last year, though.
Yeah. It was that was actually like that's why I took the under on it, but I shouldn't have taken the second bet on it, which was Wisconsin to be actually good this year. So I don't know. They actually filed a lawsuit, I think, that morning. The two leftover schools, and so, like, you can't file a lawsuit and then lose the game. So, like, that should have been public knowledge ahead of time. You can't just drop that and expect somebody to not perform the day they drop a lawsuit. That just wouldn't be a good look. So that was tough.
Did Cal lose?
Cal lost to Auburn. Yeah, 14-10. Cal was up like 10-3 early, just really jumped on him, and then probably didn't pick up a first down for the entirety of the rest of my viewing experience. Cal is an awful football team. Do not bet on them. That was a bad team. They're terrible. Do not bet Cal under any circumstance. Think that Cal is going to cover anything. You could bet Cal unders probably. That's they were not. That was a bad offense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I was watching that.
DJU, though, in Oregon State, would he go like 4 passes for like 110 yards, something like that?
I didn't have any action on it. I didn't watch it. I actually wanted to bet on it, and I couldn't find I couldn't find the line, and I just panicked and accidentally fired on OK State instead. And I was like, "Fuck it, I'll roll with it. I think they're gonna beat ASU anyway." But I meant to take that line, and I didn't end up taking it. So then I didn't watch it because I was upset that I just saw OST, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we got it. It's got to be. It's the same." And I'm like,
brings me to Gundy, who is a man who's 40, who's now 56, which is startling for me to hear. Yeah. Just running practice against Arizona State, just setting up cones in the middle of the quarters. Just kind of, he played 3 different quarterbacks. This guy is just like trotting him in and out of there. Not even, no run game. They're like, you know what? We're just going to kind of just run drills against Arizona State tonight, and we'll we'll hand it off a couple times in the fourth quarter and close this one out. That was a sick little weird game too. Everybody's very excited about Rashada there at Arizona State, and maybe they should be, but like just pump the brakes on that. It's not that's that ship ain't ready. That's not it. Not yet.
There's a reason that dude decommitted like 3 times. Just FYI.
Well, it might have to do with he kept getting promised millions and millions of dollars by all the Florida schools to play for him, and then he would find out it wasn't real, and then he'd have to decommit, and then somebody else would offer him money, and it was real that time. And it's like, yeah, little NIL boy over there just chasing the bag.
Yeah,
Found,
for sure, dude.
found a real bag somewhere, but
yeah.
That's
Speaking of the Florida schools, though, go ahead, Henny.
I was gonna say, I just love that. Like the end of that story was like, but he just fell in love with Arizona State. Like, you know what I mean? Like after all that bullshit, like chasing after he's running around trying to find all the prizes and cash, like he's in supermarket sweeps or whatever. He just like it was Arizona State all along. It had to be. It was Coach Dilly. I always knew it was going to be Coach Dilly. I used to eat Dilly bars growing up. Yeah, no, it was just a ridiculous story. But go ahead, Duke. And the Rashada thing absolutely kills me.
I was just gonna say, speaking of the Florida schools, is Miami back, boys? Are we getting good old 2 Live Crew out there pumping up the crowd again?
Are they back, or is Fisher officially dead? I think this is probably proof of how bad of a coach he is. He could recruit, but he cannot coach, and his hot seat is through the roof. I don't want to give Miami any credit because they haven't been back in forever, but Cristobal, in theory, was a good hire, and they screwed me a bunch of times last year. So like I can't give them any credit. I have to just instead want to fire Jimbo Fisher. Like that's my solution to admitting that I was wrong on that pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm there too. I think you just have to fire Fisher for how well Florida State's doing while simultaneously tanking A&M. So it's just clearly like all signs point to Jimbo at this point. Because I'm with you. And I'm sure Dugan, you're probably wanting to chomp at the bit at this. Like when have we ever been Cristobal guys?
Never.
I mean,
ever.
I can't just because he wins 2 games. I can't.
No.
What are we gonna give him his Dion crown?
Yeah, he's not Dion.
Yeah,
he's got all his toes. Like he can't be, dude. Yeah, I'm 100% in the boat of that wasn't a good win. That's just a bad A&M team. So
whatever. I will say though, if Miami is in fact back the same year Texas is, and we get a Miami Texas just national
Florida State being back too, like it's all the blue bloods from back in the day, the ones who've been forgotten. You know, it's why I know Penn State will win the national championship because we haven't been relevant in a long time. So it's all the old has-beens. Yeah, play the hits. We're sick of the same show over and over and over again. I don't care about Ohio State and Alabama. They're done. They're old news. They're nothing anymore.
Well, you know what's going to happen, right? Like A&M's going to fire Jimbo, and then Florida State's coach is again going to go to A&M, and then Dion's going to go to Florida State, and we're all just going to simpatico. It's going to be great.
Are you saying college football rigged?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yep.
This is all part of the Illuminati's plan to get Dion to Florida State.
It all comes down to Roger Goodell. It's his agenda as well. So
all things run through the Denver airport, Ben. It was right in front of our face all along, buddy. It was right in front of
mural. I thought, yeah, I swore that blue demon horse was just, it didn't mean anything, and it's like now I know.
You can finally do this on video. Yeah.
There's a reason. There's a reason why Dion went to Colorado, dude. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm saying. It's a year-long Illuminati meeting. That's all this is. So Dion's definitely going to get hired by a big program, though, right? Like, can we agree on that?
Oh yeah. No, this is a temporary stop on the road. The real question is, how many times are those players going to transfer? Are they going to be like the JT Daniels like career record, where it's like,
incredible.
First I played at USC, then I played at Georgia, then I played at Rice, then I played. It's like, are they going to end up looking like that by the end? Because they're following him wherever he goes.
By the way, JT Daniels won at Rice this weekend, so just thought I'd throw that out there. That's how much of a
When
sicko
you're
I am.
No,
he's a man amongst boys, you know. Like when you're 37 playing college football, I would hope it would look like it on the
It looked good for
on the
Brent
performance.
Wheaton, dude. You
I
know,
love
Yeah,
watching USC quarterbacks take their gap year and then travel through Europe and then come back and then they take on some of these. Like it's hilarious, like because these kids do have like brand recognition just from being a USC quarterback, and they'll just forever have a gig in college football, just slinging it somewhere. Uh,
dude.
right?
Max Brown is still living off of USC by being on the Pac-12
Yeah,
network.
right. That's what I mean. All these guys, like this, being a USC quarterback, whether you ever make it or not, clearly pays.
Former Pitt great, by the way, Ben.
yeah, right. It's so funny to me. I don't know any of their quarterbacks that they actually had recruited that stuck there. I think last one I remember was who was the one who looked really dumb? Darnold. Darnold was like the last one that was recruited and stayed there. All the rest have been transferring out for the last 15 years, and I don't understand. Like, what did they do that like those guys are the only dudes who get picked up in the portal because they don't play for USC. They almost never play for USC, and then they're just the starting quarterback of West Virginia, of Ole Miss,
Yeah.
of Pitt. Like, what is that? I don't get it. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, they all do end up in the Appalachians,
They do.
like the cryptids they are.
There's something about it. They just want to be in the mountains.
This reminds me of my
Maybe
mom's house in Malibu. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, Ben. What do we got to look forward to next week? Anything?
Of course, of course. No, there's a couple of interesting ones. We have the backyard brawl. I have no clue on which way to bet this right off the bat.
Yeah, you
So,
have to.
but it's 1.5 point spread right now, and I'm looking at that like I don't feel good about either of those. So I may just that's probably going to be an over under that I throw out there to kind of get the juices going and root for something, but not really make a courageous decision and pick a squad. Um, there's also Penn State, Illinois, my famous trap game. I don't think it's a trap game anymore, but the line's at 14.5 now. I feel much better about it now than I did previously. It's still a weird kickoff time though. We do have a few that are kind of interesting, but I think the best one that everybody's going to have circled is Virginia Tech at Rutgers. Rutgers is quietly 2-0. The line's 4.5.
Shiano.
Sing us a song, the Shiano Man. Um, he's the dopest. Like I don't know. Like I'm probably going to be locked in on that game more than anything else. You have the Brain Bowl between Duke and Northwestern.
Mm.
I think I think the Devils are better than the Wildcats there. I don't know how much better. Like 19.5 is a lot. Northwestern, they kind of came out and didn't look as atrocious this week, but we have a repeat of last year's curb stomping of Michigan State. Washington is playing Michigan State right after the best coach in the world, Mel Tucker, has been originally reported as fired, but instead he's just on unpaid leave. So I love Washington to just beat the shit out of Washington, or Washington to beat the shit out of Washington. Washington to beat Michigan State.
You were getting
By
there.
I was getting there.
We
But
knew.
yeah, that's one that I'm literally going to put in while I'm sitting here talking to you boys. And then if the sad train continues in Nebraska, I wouldn't hate it. I might take Northern Illinois against them just because I'm a spread, not necessarily money line, but there's not a lot that are like really, really, really great games, in my opinion. There's a bunch of random ones, and if you're a big sicko, like you'll like some of these matchups and these lines, but like Oregon's at Hawaii, that doesn't do anything for me. You got TCU at Houston, like Fresno at ASU, like probably Fresno to cover there. I like that. Colorado State, Kansas, Nevada. Like there's not a ton that are really, really good. And it's a problem because we don't have any good games, in my opinion, that are going to get the juices going. So you got to lock in on like Northwestern and just Duke and see what happens because that's a funny good bad game, and that's what we have a lot of this week.
I'm gonna be hammering home the Arizona UTSA game. Let me tell you that. All right, or UTEP, whoever it is. I get those schools mixed up, but I'm gonna be
T
hammering
schools,
home that
man.
one.
The
T
Miners.
schools.
I'll
It's
probably take whatever T school is playing Oklahoma. I don't know. They always play a T school, so like I think it's like Tulsa and or it might be Toledo this week. Whichever T school it is, I'll be on. I'll This is going to be a big sicko play week because there's nothing that like is great besides I think Washington to destroy Michigan State. They are a school in disarray. Actually, maybe they'll be better because Mel Tucker is not a good coach. So that maybe that
No.
smooth brain take, smooth brain take. Mel Tucker's so bad of a coach that you actually need to take Michigan State to cover this week. They almost got me. They
I
almost
know.
got me with that one, dude. Oh, they're tricky, dude. I
That
don't
one's
know how they.
dangerous. That one's dangerous. It's the same mental gymnastics some like Michigan State alumni is doing right now to not write a check. He's like, I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean, like it's bad, but I mean, like kind of a win for the program, right? Yeah.
yeah. We can get out of the 10-year extension that was definitely
Yeah,
deserved, dude.
like I
Like,
mean, I mean, obviously the people. Sorry, the people, but I mean, this is kind of a win. Yeah.
that's bad. I don't know. It's a weird one, but I'll have 20 games probably picked for you guys anyway. So just stay tuned.
Well, we'll definitely get that put out on the socials for you for sure, man. Again, thank you for jumping on, homie. Your insight is always valued. I know you didn't catch a whole lot of the NFL this weekend, so we'll let you go, man. But I hope our audience is on the lookout for those picks. We'll throw them out on the Instagram. I'm sure John will throw them on the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. But be on the lookout for those. What, around Wednesday, Thursday, Ben?
I mean, my final card won't be done until Saturday morning, but I will have a mostly finished card by Thursday afternoon to Friday. So, and then I'll throw more in there because I need the time slots covered. So,
You can keep some for yourself, you know. You can have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little. Keep some for yourself.
I wouldn't be
yeah.
honest. I can't do that. I
Give us the
cannot
half
tell a
baked
lie.
ones.
Yeah.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. See, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, brother.
Cool. Just me and Henny back again to talk NFL because you have a lot to say, don't you? Because your favorite team that you're wearing on your head right now was a tough one, bud.
It was a tough one for sure. You know, as some people had texted me, but it was, hey man, it was like a really good game. And I was like, whoa, dude, like I don't know what kind of guy you are, but don't text me that. Uh, yeah, glad the kids had a lot of fun. Hey, this is professional sports, brother. Um, but yeah, I still threw the hat on, you know, just in support anyways. It was a good game. If you probably were like just that casual dropping in, it was probably the most exciting game of the day. A ton of points to be had. Um, Chargers have a guru at you know running their defense. I mean, they have a wizard.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy who's been known as a defensive stopper, and Tyreek Hill just ran loose as I've seen him do like 1,000 times. Um, I mean, I remember I actually had this. We beat Miami last year at Miami. Um, and I remember saying the same thing. Tyreek Hill, remember that was when he picked up the fumble and ran it into the end zone. I mean, he's always a problem. He's always going to drive you crazy. So the fact that Tyreek Hill's going nuts, I can almost deal with. But we just continue to mismanage time and do dumb things, and he's just so frustrating. So it was rough, man. But I mean, I'm glad we've been talking college football. College football always cheers me up. So I mean, I'm glad we got a lead there. Otherwise, you know, I might be using words I would want to take back. But Chargers doing their thing, man. It sucks. We ran the ball for over 200 yards.
Yeah. You
Herbert's
guys
super
killed it.
efficient. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like, I mean, some people were, you know, I heard some Chargers fans nitpicking at a few play calls here and there, but like, man, when you score 34 points, you just got to win those games. That's just a lot of points to be crying about the offense. Frankly, I just can't bring myself to complain about the offense when it seemed like we had a good grip and a plan on what we were doing offensively and defensively. One punt, one random fumble, an interception on a team that's coached so stupid that, of course, they brought that interception out of the end zone to the 5. Of course, it's J.C. Jackson. Of course, he made a play and then also pinned us deep in our own territory. Of course.
Yeah, dude, I know. JC Jackson, I want to get your opinion on it. Like, should we get should we get the FBI involved? Because I feel like this is a huge case of fraud. Like, he's just absolutely defrauded the Chargers organization for millions and millions of dollars.
Well, Belichick has been doing this for years. Belichick should be arrested immediately. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we have a class action suit now. Now we have allies. I mean, we're not the first stupid franchise to sign a New England corner, overpay him, and wonder what went wrong. Like Darrell Revis worked one time. Everybody, you need to calm down. None of these other guys, the rest of these guys are just happened to go to Alabama, got drafted by Belichick, had a couple of nice years. They're going to get paid and then they're done. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean JC's rough, dude. That has not
yeah.
been a
He
good experience.
he had that sick pick, came out of the end zone, which was insane, and then immediately the next drive gave up a touchdown. So that's just the whole JC
Oh,
Jackson
and was
experience. It was
a
just
full
brutal.
5 yards behind Tyreek Hill. I mean, not that any man is running with him, but it was clearly a case of like I'm going to get my hands on this guy. Oh, well, he's gone. And yeah, it was a rough day. How about you, brother? I
Yeah.
mean, you want to? I mean, well, we can talk Chargers, Dolphins if you have more to say on it, but I mean, it's just
All I
bad.
was gonna say, what was rough was that you guys had no sacks. Like, I looked at every stat line in the book this weekend, and every team was getting to the quarterback except you guys.
Except for
And
Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Yeah.
like the most expensive pass rushing duo in the league, and it just didn't work. And then just giving up the middle of the field all day.
Yep.
Just a rough look, dude. Do you think it's more scheme, or what do you think it is?
Well, and this will be my complaint. This will be my general complaint about watching football over the weekend. We don't get to see the secondary nearly enough. And the way that
Mm-hmm.
today's game is played, I mean, you watch the Arizona football game. It was just
I
Jaden
did.
Delora. All you got on screen was Jaden Delora as like six people blocked four, and then he wanders around, and then we're just like wondering what's going on downfield. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt similar in the Chargers game. Like, I mean, I have no idea exactly why the middle of the field's open. I just know that the middle of the field is clearly wide open, and Tyreek Hill continues to run right through it and catch the ball with an incredible amount of space, which is something that I can't even fathom as a child growing up. Like, no one went over the middle. That wasn't
No.
even possible, right? I do think there's still deficiencies in terms of roster, but if you can't get beat the same way all day. I mean that's infuriating, right? Like there's just if you cannot adjust and do something different to make them earn it a different way. I think it's pretty. I think the strength of Tua is throwing the ball right over the middle of the field, and he was able to do that time after time after time. I don't think he's particularly good at extending plays, but today all
No.
he had to do was step straight forward. So he stepped straight up into the pocket. They kind of did that little. They just cupped around. You had Mack and Bosa kind of working around the edges. He takes step right on up, and then he fired another strike right down the middle. We have terrible linebacker. I mean, but there's got to be something you can do. We weren't trying to apply pressure in any meaningful way. We weren't getting home with four. We stayed with just running four. And man, rushing four and having guys wide open on the back end with the idea that there's seven behind is just an awful feeling. And I can only assume it's predominantly scheme or a stubbornness to change scheme as you go throughout. I just can't imagine wanting to lose the same way over and over and over again. I would at least like to try something else.
Yeah, it was a rough look, dude. I was texting you. I was texting my other buddy Tyler, who's a Chargers fan, and he was saying the same thing. I mean, he took it a step further. He was saying it's completely embarrassing that the way you guys lost when you have Derwin James, like just all Bosa, Mac,
Yeah.
like all the weapons on defense, and it's just that's why he feels like it's the coach. Like he just wasn't making adjustments at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree because look, the talent on the field, I don't think it's terrible. I think there's like areas where they're deficient, but I mean, look, that it's a good offense. Like they have good wide receivers. I don't think that's the last time Tyreek Hill is going to have a 200-yard game. So,
No,
I mean, but
he does that.
it does also suck to play two in week one, where he's probably as healthy as he's going to be. That's a team that I think over the course of the year is going to have to prove that. Um, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's to me it's the coach. I mean, it's the only place I can really point a finger at this point. With 100% certainty. He's the only one I know is a problem. Everything else is like debatable.
Yeah. How surprised were you that Mike Williams got hurt for a little bit?
Yeah, I was shocked. I couldn't. I was ready to fire off that tweet. I love that. We're unbelievable, man. I mean, because this is like that's why there's GM stuff too. I mean, but Mike Williams being hurt and knowing he was going to be hurt, and like I didn't even want to re-sign Mike Williams. Not that I like led a charge to say that we shouldn't. Like happy to keep him. Like sure, let's keep him in the fold. It's fine. Like it's never my money. I know the Chargers are never going to spend on a free agent ever. So if they're going to keep our guys that are solid, but yeah, Mike Williams being hurt is the least shocking headline of all time.
I was just surprised too that after he got hurt, it wasn't your first rounder getting the ball. It was freaking Josh Palmer just getting like pass after pass thrown his way. I was like, wow, that's what we're doing today. Okay, which I was fine with. I was playing a guy in fantasy that had him.
We didn't even really throw the ball today. Like
you didn't even really what?
We just didn't even really throw the ball today, though. That was the thing.
No, you didn't.
We just ran the shit out. We just ran the shit out of it. So that's like wasn't. I mean, everything was fine. That's the thing. Offensively, it was like weird, but it was fine. Like it was just different than what you're used to because we were able to effectively run the ball and our offensive line looked dominant. So I was like, well, I guess we'll just do this. Like Joshua Kelly, UCLA Joshua Kelly, looking like he was back in the powder, like in the good old days in the Rose Bowl. Like he looked really good. He was running downhill, and I was like, man, this is nice. But did you see the Mike Williams how he got hurt though? Because that's
he got absolutely just decked by a linebacker.
Yeah, but like two yards into his route, like never looking like he was ever going to accomplish anything. So that was rough.
Exactly. That's what was disappointing. It wasn't making a sweet catch over the middle. He just ran into him.
Exactly. You're like, this is so ridiculous.
Very on brand. Can we talk about though? Like Eckler is a beast, and you must re-sign him to a longer contract.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's like hard because you don't want like I don't think we need to be the only team paying running backs. You know what I mean? I don't know if we need to. I don't think the Chargers are in a position to be making those kinds of bold moves. I'd kind of like to just do what smart teams do, but he is incredible. I do laugh because inevitably at some point during this year, while the Chargers are having failures that have way more to do with our coaching, way more to do with other deficiencies in our roster, someone will be like still trying to tell me how if we just had another back besides Eckler, like it'd be fun. I'm like, this is like just so far from our biggest problem. I'll just simply put it that way. Would I love to have another back? I mean, do we draft Isaiah Spiller to just continue to DNP him until he dies? I don't know. I mean, that seems like a weird move too. That's some classic Charger player management bullshit that I will never understand. But God, we're gonna just keep playing Kenneth Murray. Like this is like we can do. You want to go position by position?
Dude,
the offensive line looked good.
I was going to text you about that too because Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen were drafted the same round, right? Same draft. I remember you and I talking about that. Patrick Queen's fucking good. Like he had a sack today. He's just killing it next to Roquan, and I wanted to kind of like talk about that like when we were texting, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it breathe. I'm gonna let it breathe because I know Kenneth Murray is not on John's favorite player list. So,
well, him and Mike Williams, if they run into each other, they're both injured 8 weeks. So, I mean, God forbid they keep them in the same room. But yeah, he is not very high on any list. Hope Drew Tranquil is doing well out there.
Well, dude, if you want to talk about injuries, my team, good God, we are just so cursed on the field with injuries. JK, like, feels so bad for him, dude. Like, he was playing so well, had the awesome touchdown where he jumped over a dude, was playing well in the passing game, and then tears his Achilles. Like, contract year, ready to go, held out a little bit, thinking he was going to get a contract. No. Tears Achilles, he's out. He's done. Excuse me. And then Ronnie Stanley hurts his knee again. Who knows how tough that is. Tyler Linderbaum got rolled up on. We'll see what that happens. And then Marcus Williams potentially has a torn pec. So it's just, Ravens luck. Harbaugh went into the season going, hey, we're really happy where we stand health wise. And if you don't talk about it, it doesn't happen. It's a tough lesson for the old man,
Yeah.
You can teach a new dog old tricks, but not Harbaugh. Let me tell you that. He's going to talk about it and he's going to curse the team. So it was a rough look, dude.
Yeah, that's tough with Dobbins, man. That's why I always get nervous with the guys when they're coming back from an ACL. And I know everybody thinks you can just do it like that now, and nobody wants to miss any time. But like I'm looking at Javonte Williams, like ever since the Dobbins injury happens, every time Javonte Williams touches the ball, I'm like, God, it seems like he just got hurt. Like like
Yeah,
that just happened. Are you sure you're okay, bud? Are you sure? Like
I know.
and so I don't know. It just those are tough, man. Those ones suck, but like I just feel the only thing that's frustrating is to me I feel like it's pretty predictable. Like I mean, I know some guys come back, but man, they just need that time. They need that time. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
glad to see Cam Rising not playing at Utah. It's like
yeah,
just
no, dude. Let that white dude just throw the ball around. So
yeah,
no, dude, it was tough though. And then like the rest of the game, like we have a brand new offense where there's a lot more to it than just running the ball like it has been the last 3 years. And you could tell that Lamar was a little rusty with it. The O line wasn't playing great. But dude, Zay Flowers, dear God, I know that you don't want to hear it. I know that, but
it's
he
no, I don't,
is.
dude. I don't care. I'm, dude. I love watching you guys throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I'm that dynamic passing game's looking sharp.
Yeah, believe me, I
I was
know.
like, that's another handoff, bro. You just drafted another running back.
Basically, dude, it was so embarrassing though, because even like Jen walks into the room and she's like, "Who's that guy? He's tiny. Is that Hollywood Brown?" She's the only player she knows besides
Yeah,
Lamar, and I'm like, "No,
makes
we
sense.
just we only draft exclusively small wide receivers that look like they're bagging groceries." But he's really good. He's
No,
impressive as shit.
he
Like
looked good today for sure.
he shook a few guys. Odell looked okay. I think they're bringing him along slowly, and then not having Andrews was tough. So we beat the Texans, but the scoreboard doesn't really tell the whole story. Like it was rough there for a while, dude. And I
Yeah,
was like, dude, if we lose to the freaking Texans after I talked about Paul Wall on the podcast, like I'll never live that down. Just
yeah,
never.
yeah.
But
You don't want to lose the
Stroud
Texans.
didn't
There's
look
no
that
way
good.
you're losing today. But
No,
did you like what you saw offensively though? Like, I mean, I know obviously it's a little rusty and whatever, but like, were there like things that you're like, oh, I could see how this can work?
no. Yes and no. Like we didn't air it out a lot. You know what I mean? It was a lot of just like bubble screens and shit like that, which that infuriates me as a fan. I think
I
that's the
know.
most annoying shit in the world. But I think it was just because it was the first game and they wanted to come in slowly and kind of run a vanilla offense, especially not having Mark Andrews there. Um, and then with the offensive line already kind of messing up and then losing JK, I think it just made it even more vanilla. So jury's still out on it. I have no idea. I do like the wide receiver talent we have. It's nice to not just see, a dude that's been out of the league for 2 years catching balls from Lamar.
Yeah,
That's encouraging. That's really good. It's nice having 3 first rounders out there. But again, jury's still out. Lamar looked really rough. The interception he threw, I get he didn't have a whole lot, like a lot of time, but he threw a shit ball and it got picked off, and then he fumbled it. He didn't look sharp at all, and it even made Harbaugh say that next time they're legit gonna like play the starters in the preseason because they all looked that rough. So it was rough,
yeah.
dude. I don't know. Not my favorite game,
A
but
dub though, a win. You know, all you got to do is beat the Texans and move on. So it is
I
what it
will
is.
say though, I felt a little vindicated because we talked shit about Will Anderson, them trading up for him and making that draft pick. He looks incredible. He
Yeah,
looks very, very good. He got a sack. He was all over the fucking field. He was very good. CJ Stroud, though, jury's still out on him too. He's a little risk adverse. I'll say that. He's very vanilla himself, which first game in the NFL you're probably going to be unless you're
yeah,
Geno Smith. So, you know,
for sure. I was like,
I don't
that's
know.
tough. That's tough.
The arm is there. You can tell. You know what I mean? He's got arm talent, but he wasn't doing a whole lot, which worked out fine for us because neither were we. It was honestly a very boring game, outside of
Yeah,
a few things. Just both teams didn't look ready for the season to start. So I don't know.
That one was buried on red zone. That's why I was like, I'll just ask you because I'm like, I'm not clicking over to that either. I wasn't
No.
seeking that one out today. I have to stay far away from the Texans, man. Stay far
Yeah,
away.
no, dude. Like, I totally get that because like not a whole lot was going on in my game, and then after my game, I turned on red zone, and I felt like every 5 seconds it was just Chargers Dolphins, Chargers Dolphins. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what is going on with that game? It's drunk, and
Yes.
it was all the way into the end because your head coach was just doing things. So
Doing some things, and only 9 seconds left in the half, and they give up 3 points
I know it was
because J.C.
insane, dude.
Jackson pass interference because he's an idiot. It's
Yeah, on a shit Hail Mary too. Like
yeah, and
wasn't
there's 2 seconds left in that play. Just tackle him. Like just all
yeah.
you have to do is tackle. Like let him catch it. I don't even care.
Just give it to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know that Tua is not getting into the end zone. We all know
yeah,
his arm strength isn't
yeah.
there. Like,
No,
so
so
frustrating. I
stupid.
felt bad for you that entire game. I was just texting you and Tyler, like, dude, this is brutal.
Yeah,
But
almost worked out, but
almost, I was going to be happy for you, but also, Angry John's the best John on this podcast. So it worked out for everybody in general, except you.
game was a long time ago. I'm a changed man now. Game was a long time ago.
Yeah, this isn't like when the Suns lost in the playoffs and we immediately came on the pod and just eviscerated our favorite team.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to let it breathe
that's
a
much
little bit.
tougher. There was a little bit more time to heal in this one for sure.
Right, right. No, but the rest of the games were, like you said, like I think for the most part we were able to kind of discern what was going to happen. I was shocked that Tampa Bay beat Minnesota because Kirk
Yep.
Cousins had a pretty good game, but that was crazy. And then, dude, the Bengals, what the fuck is going on in Cincinnati? Joe Burrow had like 80 yards passing. Like basically every quarterback that got paid this summer played like shit today, which was just shocking. It was wild.
Yeah, I mean, right. Who else got? I mean, Herbert obviously got paid. He was solid. Um,
But like Gino didn't play that
but
well.
Gino didn't play well. Burrow didn't play
Lamar didn't
well.
play that well. Yeah, Burrow.
Yeah, and would say whatever you want. Herbert's still on. I mean, even if he played well, whatever. So
He did play really well though. Herbert's just good, man. He's so solid.
yeah, but you're right. Yeah, because God, they were bad. The Seahawks look terrible.
They had moments where I was like, "Oh, damn, they look good." Like the one route that DK had where he shook him and went to the end zone. I was like,
Yeah,
"Damn,
that
all
was
right,
yeah,
Seahawks are
that was
back."
nice. Yeah, that was really nice. Respect for DK on that one. Big man shaking like that was nice.
Yeah, But then what was it, dude? Like 4 plays later, DK's like shoving a guy, without him looking and stuff.
Yeah,
They just looked bad. They looked
that's what I'm
really
saying. They
bad.
just looked like way like off kill, and because I mean, we'll see. Like time will tell with that Rams team, but I mean, I don't even know who these guys are. I mean, which is
Yeah,
fine, but
Puka Nakua. Like
yeah,
I
weird.
know him, the only reason I know who he is because when he was on BYU, he eviscerated Arizona, and that's when you and I were in Vegas and they
Yep.
lost.
No, I know.
He
I do know who he
destroyed
is
him.
too. Yeah, but it is like a bunch of guys that I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this guy was still around, or like it's sort of like
Tutu Atwell.
yeah, there's
Like
some dudes
what?
that I remember from college football, but not guys that I mean, the Rams haven't had picks,
No.
so I mean, it makes sense. But hey, they looked all right today. I mean, they were Stafford slinging it around over 300, total opposite of Joe Cool there. Which I mean, I guess
Mhm.
that's where we started. I mean, what I don't know. Did you? I saw. I mean, I saw bits and pieces of that one too. Obviously, this like that's a weird thing about the NFL is you couldn't really watch every single game. They play them all at
No.
the exact same damn time, and especially like in these
Mhm.
early weeks before there's buys, you're really loaded up. But I just saw a lot of Miles Garrett going nuts,
Yeah,
which that's always a thing. So
that's what it was. I mean, Burrow, I think, had the lowest amount of time in the pocket of any quarterback in the NFL this weekend, which no surprise there. I mean, I feel like that offensive line has
yeah,
been a joke the entire time he's been there. And then it was just what they were calling, dude. It was kind of like how you weren't happy with the Chargers on defense. Like my other buddy who's a Bengals fan was just like, dude, this offense was a joke. It was just a bunch of like 3 yard routes. Like here, go make a play, and like nobody could. And then they just didn't throw it to T Higgins whatsoever. Like funny enough, after the rumors come
yeah,
out that they're thinking about trading him or not re-signing him, it's like, oh, weird how that works.
yeah. Go
And
figure.
that game pissed me off because of Jamar Chase's comments after the game. Like, I hate the Browns. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but like, you took an L, a really big L, and then you're still calling them elves and stuff. I was like, you're just being a
Yeah, I
shithead.
did see
Like,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So that was probably my least favorite game. My favorite game of the weekend, though, was definitely the 49ers just shit pumping the Steelers. That was
Who could have seen that
chef's
coming?
kiss.
I
Yeah,
mean,
weird,
God,
right?
Steelers. Like, I mean, yeah. I'm so glad that I at least text somebody about that. I have not understood this. Kenny Pickett did nothing to earn my trust last year. I have no idea why suddenly the Steelers are a hot pick, where the AFC still seemingly to me looks very loaded. Like I I mean, if the Chargers or the Jacksonville Jags or the Ravens, like teams that are barely made it last year, that could. Why were we taking the Steelers and Kenny Pickett? I mean, that
Yeah.
just made no damn sense to me. Average wide receivers. I mean, those guys are all right. Pickens is already pouting in game one, allegedly. I don't really know how much all this stuff is I see on the internet is true, but if he's already pouting out there, but that was the weirdest pick, and so that was not shocking to see the Niners running away today. Also, the Niners are very good.
Yeah, well, Christian McCaffrey is really, really good, and Purdy did a good job too. Brendan Ayuk, really good.
Yep.
Chase was right about that guy. Like, good God, I will give Chase his flowers, by the way, because most of the guys that he told us to pick up in fantasy are producing. So, shout out to Chase. Welcome on the show anytime, because your picks so far are being pretty damn good. Because I think he might have even mentioned I think he might have mentioned Nakua when he was on here, or maybe he mentioned that to me privately. But like most of the picks he said are playing out pretty well, at least in week one. I mean, who fucking knows? But um, outside of that, most of the games were pretty well. You know what? I did not expect the Falcons to beat the Panthers. I will
I was
say
gonna say
that.
I did. I definitely did.
Did you?
Well,
Well,
they're
you're a
starting it.
Bijan guy,
It's just well, no, it's just they're start. Dude, when a guy comes out and he's a rookie quarterback and he plays his first game, he's just not
yeah,
that good. Like it's just like those guys just don't win games right away. Like
true.
they do eventually, and like this guy, might by the end of the season, but they just
Did
don't win
not
right
look good
away.
though. Yeah, he didn't
No,
look
not
good.
particularly. But again, that's another team with like no weapons. Those guys all. That's the thing is, you're just you're throwing a quarterback onto the worst roster from last year.
Bro, he's got
Essentially.
Adam Thielen, dude. He's got Adam Thielen. All right,
Yes,
let's.
and who's like questionable also, by the way. Yeah, like he's because he's got back issues or whatever from being so damn old and carrying the Vikings through some dark years.
True.
But yeah, you're right. Like that's what I mean. It's a case in point is they have Adam Thielen,
Yep.
um, and I do think I mean, and yeah, shout out that's Chase has I think everything that I can remember him talking about has been spot on, and I just hope he has to come on and apologize for Bijan, which isn't really an
Yeah.
apology. I mean, you said didn't take him number one. We were just kind of kidding around, but and he did have a good sense of humor about the Nebraska stuff. I think he might unfriend me. We'll see. But
Yeah. We'll see.
yeah, I was like, well, time
Might
will
not be
tell.
Facebook friends,
Yeah, time will
but
tell. Time will tell. But I'd loved seeing Bijan just doing his thing though. I mean, it was
he
exactly
looked
what.
awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's exactly what we thought, man. Just like shifting gears, stopping on a dime, running through a couple tackles, and then accelerating into the end zone. And you're like, yeah, yeah, that's what we signed up for. Give me some of that. And so, like, if you did take Bijan in the fantasy draft, you're gonna have a lot of fun watching him, whether it works out or not, whether he's that worthy of the pick you took him at. Chase might win all that stuff, but you're gonna have fun watching that dude.
Was a little concerning though that Tyler Algier got 15 carries and had two tutties though. like
Yeah,
if
for sure. Well, that's what's tough, and that's why Chase probably ended up being right. If he ends up being the Ferrari and not the guy that gets these goal line carries and he gets vultured, as they used to say on the old show, uh, that's a tough beat.
yeah, no, you're right. I will say I was surprised that the Eagles didn't put up more of a fight against the Patriots. That was a weird game because they came out super hot
Yeah,
and then they just Patriots came right back in it, which was super weird because I couldn't tell you a single Patriots wide receiver, but apparently they had touchdowns today.
yeah, and their entire Bourne looked pretty good, but it was weird. Every time I saw the Eagles' offense, the entire offense just seemed like it was just Hurts running the ball. Like
Yeah.
it was never a back. They had
Hmm.
nothing going on in the passing game, and I'm like, guys, this isn't sustainable. I'm like, we could have watched Justin Fields do this. Like this is not a good program.
Yeah.
So I don't know that. Yeah, that got a little squirrely, and as good as that offensive line and the depth of that roster is supposed to be, maybe we find out the Patriots are solid. But
Pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, like that's always possible. But I don't know. The Eagles hung on though. I mean, it's a road game in New England, week 1, so they got it done.
That Bears game did surprise me now that you mention it. Speaking of Fields, Packers look good. Like you texted me
Yeah,
earlier, is that addition by subtraction? Like, is that
yeah,
locker room happy now?
yeah.
Like, he looked good. Aaron Jones is just as good as Eckler. Well, maybe not just as good, but he's
He's
on that kind
fast,
of
dude. He's good. I
yeah,
mean, he looked really good. They're same but different kind of thing. They're both really. He
yeah.
looked nice today. You're right.
Both good in the passing game, both good just in between the tackles. Like, dude, they're going to be a problem. They have a really good defense. They have those young receivers they have, and they didn't even have their best one today. So I was really disappointed with the Bears because they made, I thought, some good additions in the offseason. I didn't think they were going to be, division winners, but I didn't expect them to get slapped around like they did today. That was weird. And Fields just still does not look great.
I still don't. I mean, I still don't really ever, when I watch them, understand really what the plan is. He still gets left to his own devices a lot, and I don't think
Mhm.
any of these guys that are, I just don't think he's there yet. Anybody who comes out of the Ohio State system, I basically would just simply say has been running the same all verts system
Mhm.
for like what 25% of their offense, and they have to just learn some new tricks. So uh, he's still a super talented guy, but yeah, they looked terrible, and or the Packers look great depending on how you want to look at it. But um, that was a beatdown. I mean, outside of obviously what happened Sunday night, that was probably the biggest beatdown.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Sunday night. Danny Dimes. That was the one thing Chase was wrong on. He looks like ass again. Like, dear God, after kind of revitalizing his career at the end of the year last year, he looked just as bad as he has ever looked tonight.
But to Chase's point, he's still running the ball because he still can't
Yeah.
throw, and he's still doing all the fantasy things that you want to see from him, where he's like, I don't know, I'll just run, and he's just like, and he's fast, and he kind of like makes it
Yeah.
work. But oh my god, I mean, Michael looked great, obviously. Uh, in general, that's the best Dallas Cowboys have ever looked, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I mean, the Giants just look so bad. I mean, it's a one game, case we got here, but damn.
Here's here's the problem though. Is like with the Giants and the Cowboys, that like specific rivalry or whatever you want to call it. I feel like once a year the Cowboys piece up the Giants in the beginning of the year, and then by the end of the year the Giants are like beating them by a field goal.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? That felt
No,
very familiar.
no, it does. It feels. I would tend to agree. Like that, it does feel like how that series goes. It almost is like, yeah, Dallas is the splash when the weather's warm and everything's fine, and then as soon as it's
Mhm.
cold, New York hits you in the mouth, and they win in Rutherford. Yeah, or
Yeah,
now wherever they play now.
yeah,
Rutherford's
wherever
exposing me. Yeah,
they're in Jersey. We know
somewhere in
that.
Jersey. Yeah,
Fake New York guys for sure. But yeah, besides that, dude, I think it was a pretty wide open weekend, pretty predictable. Just a couple ones that I was like, oh, okay, that kind of surprises me. But other than that, we'll see what happens with these injuries. We'll see how you guys bounce back next week. I think you guys are just as talented as anybody in the league. We didn't even talk Thursday night football. That the Lions. I'm sure your father-in-law was just ecstatic. Looking at that score line. I don't know if
yeah.
you want to hit that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think just real quick, that was game of the year. It was the best game I've seen all year. No, it was fun though. It's always nice to see the Chiefs take an L. It's fun to root for the Lions. I think a little bit fun to watch Man Campbell. Um, but still, everything the Lions do doesn't really feel sustainable to me. To be honest with
No,
you, I'm like, what
it's
you
Jared
like?
Goff.
You're still, yeah, it's still, yes, it's Jared Goff. That's all you need to say. I I actually been arguing about Jared Goff with one of my brothers. I think he actually thinks Jared Goff is legitimately good. I think he really believes it in his heart, and I really don't understand it. It all started with about whether the trade was worth it with Stafford, which to me, if you make a trade and you win a Super Bowl, you win the
You
trade.
win.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you win.
The end of the discussion. Like you didn't whatever you did, mortgaging your future, blah whatever. It doesn't matter. You win. Like that's it. And And then it was something like, well, Jared Goff could have been winning for 7 years. And I'm like, wow, that seems like a really big number for a guy like Jared Goff, like just throwing around 7 years. Uh, and now we're just tooth and nail. And I think I'm gonna be living and dying with Jared Goff results now. He's totally average, man. Trust me, if you are down in the fourth quarter, that is not your man. That is
No,
not your man.
ask the Rams. They'll tell you.
That is
You
not
know,
your man.
ask Cal. We mentioned Cal earlier.
Yeah,
He did not have a winning record there.
I know.
So
This is not your man. Can you build a really good roster and still win with Jared Goff and he can manage games for you? Sure. Are you going to win a Super Bowl? You absolutely sure as shit are not.
I will say though, St. Brown is a beast.
Yes,
He's very, very
he is
good.
very good.
And then David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs both looked very good.
Yep, they
So,
both did
like you
look
said, surround him with talent. He'll get you a few games for sure. So,
100%.
congrats to the Lions. That is their Super Bowl, like you said. That is it. They won.
They did it.
Hang it in the
Another
rafters.
banner.
Beat Patrick Mahomes. I will say though, Jared Goff is becoming a little bit of Patrick Mahomes like kind of arch rival. This
He's
is the
two
second time he's beat him. He's 2
two
for
and zero.
2.
Yeah, he's 2-0.
Yeah.
Don't you think
So
those stats were getting thrown at me as if they were like super official? I'm like, it's all pure anecdotal fight. Like, well, I have a memory, and let me show you this stat against Patrick Mahomes. Um, some good stuff there. Some really a lot of meat on that bone.
yeah. All right, man. Well, NFL was fun. We look forward to it next week, and then college football week 3 next week. We're already almost at an hour and a half, so we'll let you guys go. But before you go, remember, hit that subscribe button. Yep, it's going to pop up right there after I do this video editing. And then make sure that you also leave us a rating on Spotify, Apple, whatever's your choice. Follow us on X. Follow us on Instagram. We're almost at 1,600, 1,700 followers on there. That's insane. We need all y'all to come over to X, though, because y'all need to talk to Henny as well. So go ahead and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok. We're on everything. Every kind of social you can think of. We're putting content out there, and we want you guys to follow us. So please continue to do so. Outside of that, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Yes, it is back. And then, Henny, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, man. Just glad to be back in the college football game. Thanks for covering me last week. If you get out to the golf course, make sure you get your tasties. Don't forget about your tasties. I was out
Yep.
there at the links this week. I was doing it. So, I got out there. I snuck one in this morning before. I was like, it's just a Ravens game. I can miss a quarter.
Yeah.
But, it's the Texans. Come on, man. It'll be fine.
Yeah, dude.
But,
Yeah.
but
It was
I
like 7-6. You're fine.
But yeah, but find us on socials for Saturdays, man. We're trying to have as much fun with the college football stuff. I think you guys can tell that's probably like a leading passion, for us, or at least for me on Twitter or on X.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm
That's
gonna say
definitely your
Twitter. I'm not even
passion.
gonna say X, bro. I can't do it.
Yeah. Definitely college football is definitely your thing, though. Like your content is actually getting attention. People are actually responding to your stuff. So I think somebody responded to your Colorado rushing the field tweet. So that was great.
Yeah, we had she was that just made me laugh because you just dig into someone's profile and she's like a thought leader, she's like out there like consulting businesses. So, thought leadership, if that's what you're looking for, we have an allegiance out there now. We have an ally in the business community, thought leadership, college football Saturdays, Big 12. It's all coming
Yeah.
together, baby. It's everything the ACC and Pac-12 could have been.
Yeah. And just know our agenda moves forward every Saturday about the Big 12. Ben's not here anymore, so we'll just say it. Big 12 has been much better than the Big 10, and the Pac 12 has been better than both of them. So
Yeah,
SEC's not looking too great either. So Pac 12, baby, this is our year, our swan song.
Arizona is part of all of the top two conferences in the nation right now. We're in both of the best conferences. It's pretty obvious to me. It seems clear.
We like to dip our toes in both pools, apparently. So
That's right.
it's Wildcat Nation, baby.
Yeah.
All right, homie. Well, I'll let you get going. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.